Right, so there's like subcategories of like experimental film that isn't part of the art world,
yeah, or
and yet is not part of the
I
commercial
just
world.
think this argument about saying like film has better criticism is like
I don't think film
separate.
does have better criticism.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
I don't
punditry.
think that either.
I
No, because you've been on the receiving end of it, where I've seen you on the cover of the New York Times.
I saw that too.
Didn't see that.
For sure does.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god.
I don't know what it, like the criticism for film. I'm not sure if it's that much healthier. I mean, I do think that when you are able to look at somebody's blog, like Jonathan Rosenbaum's blog, or
What is the
looking at
address? Should we check it out?
JonathanRosenbaum.com.
Google
Jonathan
it.
Rosenbaum.
go to RogerEbert.com. It's like there's
No,
some.
but it's stuff like long pauses, it's stuff like cinemascope, it's stuff like academic.
If you actually can think about ideas and actually contribute to the form and the sort of development, evolution of art, I don't really see that in things like Now or or these very quickie kind of things, because we are driven by the indomitable pop culture that says, you know, we've got an advertiser who wants to do this and this, and I don't know. It just seems to be in the realm of punditry, and I'm not really sure where criticism goes. It seems kind of quite nice, actually. I'm not really very well versed in the art criticism community, but there's a desire. It seems like people are coming from a place of love of art.
Her blog is called Unedited by Heart.
You know, people who are creating and artists and, you know, who care about it. So it sounds like what you guys are suffering from, just not incisive enough, kind of like stuff like more.
I want to ask everybody if they could give us 5 points of what we could do to do our jobs better.
Yeah, like what's the guiding principles for rewarding or punishment? I don't really know.
Anyone?
Let's just say at this point, I mean, I'm more interested in anything. I mean, I work for the Monolith, as you all know.
What's that?
The Toronto Star. Actually.
Oh, Monolith.
Yeah, I work
Okay.
for
Yeah.
the-
The Toronto Star.
I work for the giant Death Star of local media.
Right for the Toronto Star.
And that's, you know, that's very privileged position. I spent a lot of time actually arguing for page space for art, which
I think
is,
we all have done that.
it's an argument almost always lost. It's an incredibly sad sort of situation. I mean, if I get to page 7, that's great. That's why I forced.
Have you ever gotten a cover story?
Many times, but not oddly enough, only really, actually, let me think about it, 3 or 4 times for something art related, because I do a lot of different things. This is obviously a problem. It's very hard to sort of convince a commercial media venture that this is actually something, very much so, that this is something that actually has popular appeal. So I'm actually really, more than anything, I don't really have anything to tell you or say. I mean, I'm much more interested in responding to you folks and what can we do to make this work for you. Because you know, I mean, I really think that I speak for everybody who say we're doing our best. You know, I mean, we're honest, passionate enthusiasts. We are part of this scene, and we want to represent you. I know I do. So
Well,
let's talk about it.
Sorry, if I can talk as both an artist and writer, I know that as a visual artist, you know, a lot of artists struggle just to get exposure. And so as a writer, one of the things that I've tried to do is try to find sort of the underdogs, people who are out there and who are difficult to find, because I think that's...
Like
no, actually, right now I'm just writing a new interview with an artist in New York called Liz Ainsley.
And he recently published an interview in our US with Chris Knight from Toronto.
Yeah. For Art US, which went over really well, so I think that's pretty good that, you know, Americans do accept us at some point. And so yeah, Liz Ainsley, she just does these very fragile works on cardboard, painting on cardboard. But you know, I think there are people here in Toronto and in LA, to kind of be unknown is the coolest thing in the world, right? All these artists are like, no, don't find me, running away from these. You know, and then here in Toronto, it's like, you have a lot of people who are like that, who are doing excellent work, and then I think they just need to be found.
There's nothing. I just want to sort of speak as somebody who's an editor and like an art critic and columnist. That I think that being an editor has really taught me a lot of things, and I think one of the most dangerous things.
One of my editors recently told me, she's like, every writer should be an editor, just wants to know what it's like.
Yeah, but one of the most dangerous things you can do as a writer is to assume there's editorial opposition to what you really want to say, because I think that there's a lot of self-censure in the freelance writer community, and there's actually, the reality of it is that there's a lot of freedom. And you can, especially in Canada, you can say what you actually want to say. So say it.
Why do you think a lot of our critics or art writers in Canada are afraid to say what they want to say?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think there are a lot of reasons for that. Anyone want to speak to that?
Anybody else want to answer that? Bill?
Because you write really nice reviews. You recently reviewed Douglas Copeland at Clark and Gray for Modern Painters. So, and you're probably really
And that was,
nice.
yeah, I was paid $50 for it. Modern Changes pays $50.
I know, but you also bought a piece of art at that show.
So I put $50
Disclose your
Did you get a discount at least because you
What's that?
reviewed it? Did you get a discount? That's bullshit.
Yeah.
They're not your friends.
So now I'm cowed and embarrassed. No, I'm not. Because I honestly feel I'm in a very privileged position because I don't have to make my living writing about art.
You're very lucky.
I am.
But you're very passionate about it.
So
You're very positive.
I am, and one thing that I want to kind of follow up on what David was saying is is definitely. Do I really need this? One thing that I want to say is that I don't think it's so much that writers lack the confidence. It's just they lack the outlets, and we've got very limited outlets here.
So should we all start
And-
blogs?
Go ahead, start all the blogs you want, I guess. But it feels like we have very limited outlets here. And so I often feel that if I'm going to write about something, what do I want to direct my energies towards? Do I want to direct my energies towards supporting something, or do I want to direct my energies towards, writing about something that I'm not necessarily so enthusiastic about or I found there are problems with? So,
Any questions for the critics? Yes.
I want to comment on the
That's not a question.
Well,
That's not a
I'm
question. Question.
I can make it into an interrogative.
No, but just ask a question. The art realm needs to get to the point.
Well, I'm going to ask, do you think there's too many venues out there? Because, I see a lot of work published by grad students in some of these so-called too few venues that are unreadable. And I'm almost asking if there need to be more venues. We need more writers. So do you really think there are too few venues? And do you think catalog essays count as part of criticism? Because most of us write them.
Who writes catalog essays?
I've only written one for a friend. I didn't get paid for it because we were both
And how much of our criticism
Anyway.
is about friendship?
I don't write about friends because, well,